Above all else, Sally was a kind, devoted, and truly loving friend, colleague, and teacher. But she was a uniquely creative artist as well. She crafted so many of my favorite designs in productions like Quilters, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Twelfth Night, A Comedy of Errors, and so many others. And not just the costumes, but her renderings are works of art in themselves. I often remember stepping into her office to talk about a character or a new conceptual approach to a character. And Sally would take a pencil and a blank sheet of paper, scribble for a few seconds, and say, "Is this what you have in mind?" And I'd be looking at a beautiful artistic rendering dashed off right in front of me. In production meetings, so often Sally would ask the questions that got right to the heart of the conceptual approach of a play. I loved collaborating with her because she didn't steer me toward easy answers. She prompted discussions that were deep about the stories we were telling and how we could serve them best. As a mentor to students and colleagues, Sally was hands on and seriously invested, not just in the work, but in our growth as people. Her office was always layered in past and ongoing crafts: open books, piles of fabric, masks, boots, gloves, hats, ribbons, costume alterations, everything spread out haphazardly but in hand's reach so that we could feel textures, display pieces side by side, comb through books together, and even try things on. Sally loved people, and I think loved having a job where she could work so closely and creatively with others. She loved her family. We saw it especially in the way she included her dear mother in so many projects and performances around the theater for so many years, and how she would share what was going on in the life of her nephew Rob. She wanted to know our families as well, asking after them and including them in lunches and get togethers. Her love for people was evident in all of her relationships, and she taught us how to love.
Hi, my name is Blythe Tierney Dever, and I am lucky enough to have had Sally as my teacher at Baylor University from 2011 to 2015. In that time, I took makeup from her, including an independent makeup study with her my senior year, which ultimately led to me having a career in the industry, film, TV, and theater, as a makeup artist and designer. So to say Sally had an impact on my life would be an understatement. She had a magnificent impact on my life and who I have become and who I strive to be. She is the most special person, and I've tried to make this video so many times and there's just so many things I want to say. The last one I made was like 7 minutes long and I was like, Rob will kill me. So we all know who she was and how magnificent she was and how unlike anybody she was. She lived a life so full and so colorful. I mean, if you put it in a book, it's a rock star life. Her stories are insane. They're tales. One of one of my favorite stories about Sally and my time together was whenever I was doing my independent study with her, I was headed up to her office one morning and the front office asked me to bring her a package that had arrived. So I carry this box upstairs, and this box looks like something out of Indiana Jones. It's stamped and scratched and taped and battered, and it's been around the world at least twice, and at least a few places it probably shouldn't have been. And I carry this box up and you're just like, makes sense. Like totally, like you don't even ask a question. You're just like, take it to Sally, sure. So I get up there and her door is closed. And so I go to knock, and when I do, the contents of the package shift. And when they do, they slide to one side, and out of the corner of the box, sand starts pouring out. And I was just like, okay. And right then the door opens and Sally bursts. Alpaca saddles have arrived. And I was like, oh, and with like tossing wire out of her hands, she grabs the box and undoes it and pulls out these insane alpaca saddles that looked like they were literally taken off the Peruvian, Tibetan, wherever the sandy place was, alpacas, and put directly into this box and shipped to Sally Lynn Askins. And she ordered them because she was going to make a vest. a vest. Like, just her mind. And she did. And it was one of the most beautiful costumes we had in our Shakespeare play that we were doing. And it's just to have somebody in the world who thinks that creatively and is not hindered by the confinements of regular, and having somebody like that who lived life so fully and so full of so much kindness and so much willingness to share her knowledge, her skill, her craft, her love with others. I feel like the luckiest person in the world to have had even a smidge of that lifetime that she led, because I will treasure it for the rest of mine. And there's so much I want to say, and there's so much, but she knows. She knows. And thank you, Sally, for all that you do and have done, and the lives that you've touched, because I know that while I feel like my experience is very special, I know that there's lots of people who have those experiences with you, because you are just magnificent. So, thanks.
So I met Sally Lynn 22 years ago when I came to interview for a job at Baylor. And I'll never forget meeting her and seeing her costumes and seeing her in her office for the first time. And over 22 years, she was an unfailingly kind person to me, which will come as a surprise to no one. The thing about Sally is that many people knew she was a great artist and a engaged costume designer and colleague, collaborator. But the thing I got to see when I was her chair for a few years was how amazing she was as a teacher to non-theater majors. You know, those students would write the most glowing things about her after their semester was over in their faculty evaluations, and I got to see all of them. And they would talk about how she made them feel, about how she made them feel about art and creativity and about themselves. And it made me think about that line that, you know, people may forget what you say or do, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. To me, that's Sally. She made people feel seen, and she made people feel creative, and nobody who encountered her ever forgot that, and I'll never forget it either.
So I took my time before recording this because I really didn't know what to say at first. Like, Sally is one of the best humans to ever have been invented or born. You know what I mean? Like, my life would not be where it is today without her. I first met Sally in 2014 when she was the professor for my stage makeup class, and I took makeup because I was a film major, and all of the guys were getting to touch the camera, and they kept putting all the girls on makeup, and I was like, screw it, if you're gonna put me on makeup anyway, I'm gonna go take classes for it. So I did, and Sally was like, I'm gonna make a theater major out of you. And she didn't, but that's only because there wasn't a double major at the time. I must have taken 60 hours of theater classes after that. I called Sally my theater mom. She definitely, like, treated me better than my own parents. That semester that I took stage makeup, I would sit behind after class was over and just talk to her about life and everything for 30 minutes, an hour, just hang out with her after class. And it was a semester where I was living in a church Greek housing, basically, so it was very cult-like, and she was the professor, so she didn't, like, say anything about that at the time, but she really did show me, like, a good example of, like, a person that actually authentically cared about people rather than the church environment that I was used to that was very fake niceties. She was like a real person. In 2017, right before I graduated, Sally told me that I needed to go to USITT. And I did, and got my first 2 jobs out of college because I went. No one else from Baylor did. And so I got my first job as a makeup artist, and I got my first job working as a theme park tech, doing like entertainment stage tech work at a theme park in Florida because Sally told me to go to USITT. I would have never thought to go without her. She had the best stories too. Like, did you know that, like, she was the one sitting around with a bar with all of her friends just asking people, hey, if you could invent anything for theater, what would it be? And all of her homies were like, yeah, I want to invent a moving light. That would be really helpful. And then they went on to contract with Genesis and build a moving light for their tour. And so we have Sally to thank for sparking the idea of the moving light. She was such a wonderful person. Anytime I'd pass through Waco, I would try to meet up with her after college. And probably wasn't the best about it, but I definitely saw her at least once or twice a year, and she was always just like so lovely. And even though I chose to pursue a career in tech, but I'm still doing design, and she was just like, it's so cool seeing the arts, like the arts are having, like, you can make a living as an artist. She was just the most encouraging, lovely person. And she really does deserve to be remembered. Like, she poured her heart into her students and her production, and had the funniest attitudes, the funniest stories. She's gonna be so missed. We love you so much, Sally. Anyway, thanks.
So the really cool thing about Sally was that I met Sally when I was really little, like 3. Like, Aunt Sally and I knew each other for a very long time, and I'm very fortunate because I got to know a lot of the faculty at Baylor Theater for a very long time, and I'm blessed. And I recognize that that's something that I am blessed to have gotten, is to have both my family and then this family in a family. And I was always a hammy kid, and I was a lot of energy, like I am even now to those who are there and know me. But the thing about Sally was she saw through a lot of that, and she saw through what I was doing for others to see what I was doing for myself. And what I was doing was figuring out how I could express that hamminess or that lotness that I had. And so she saw me as a designer. She would let me sit with her while she was working on things, and I got to work on things, and there'd be shows happening, and I wouldn't really know what was happening in the theater. I do now, but at the time I was just a kid, and I didn't really understand how much collaboration was going on, or why so many people were going to Sally for just a hug or to de-stress. It makes sense now. But I used to draw things, and then Sally would put them up places near her drawings, and it made me feel like they were the same, because they weren't underneath Sally's drawings. They were to the side and a lot of times above Sally's drawings, which meant a lot. And so, yeah, I will forever be grateful for somebody who saw through a lot of the stuff I was doing for others and as kids do for attention, for somebody who saw me. And I'm thankful for that even today.
Hello everybody, this is Shara. I was asked to do a short video of how has Sally influenced my life. How has she not? She has been one of the most important people in my career. 30 years ago, Sally and I began our journey at Baylor University, where I was her shop tailor and shop manager. And I was very young and she was very young too. And we were able to begin a beautiful journey together, a journey that has spanned 30 years of my career. And as my mentor and as my sister and best friend, not only was a union of two minds coming together, it was her mentoring me throughout every aspect of my career, from the beginning to my biggest promotion of my career that's now going towards retirement. And Sally never stopped caring for my future. She never stopped showing me new things, new ways to do things. Even the last project we worked together, which was really interesting, that we ended up working together on our final project once she retired at the play Steak that was produced in Waco. And she continued to teach me even after all these years. And you know, when I got my big promotion, which she was there every step of the way through all of them, there was a letter that I wrote her, and the way she answered me was truly a model to how I hope that if I can be half of the mentor she was to be to my students, that it would be an honor to be that. Sally was such a giving, loving human being, such a good Christian, and showed me what true Christianity is. We were different in faith value, but we were together in heart. Our families became one, and friends and close, and I will miss her so much. But I know that in my heart of hearts, she is in such a better place, happy to be with her parents and her dear brother, and at peace with every aspect of her life. And I know she may also be an angel in heaven, flying over in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in the mountains where she loved to be. I FaceTimed with her at the exact spot, and I had promised that we were going to go together this next summer, and it is going to be difficult for me not to fulfill that promise, but I know she's there eating chocolate and painting the mountains. She always told me that's what happens when you go to heaven. I love you, Sally. I will miss you, but I know you will be with me till we meet again, my friend. Your legacy continues in my classroom. Your legacy, the things you've taught me, how to be an educator and mentor, will carry with me till it's my turn to walk away from it all. I love you, Sally. I love your family. I am here for all of you, your friends, the past students. I just want to say what Sally wrote to me on the day she found out that I got my full professor with tenure senior faculty position. And I wrote to her, and she wrote me very simply, but she wrote me back. And I said, "Dear Sally, thanks for opening me up to this career that I love so, so much. I will be carrying your legacy in my work till my dying day. Love you to the moon and back. Thanks for believing in me. Thanks for your talent, wisdom, patience, and guidance. Love you, Sally. Shara." Sally replied, "Love it. You did good. Teach. It's great when the universe aligns." And she ends with, "Love you to the moon and back as well. Love, Sally." Sally's legacy lives on at Del Mar College, costume department.
We are so much better for having known you, Sally, and for your teaching and energy about always being kind, no matter what. No matter what. It doesn't cost any more to be kind, and it doesn't stress out the budget. And art in community. It's about the collaborative energy. It's about being together. It is the definition of theater, after all. We'll miss you, Sally, so much, and look forward to seeing you on the other side at a wonderful reception, those of us that actually believe in some of that crazy stuff. Look forward to it very much. I love you, Sally.
Hello, everyone. My name is Toby Miley, and I'm a Baylor Theater graduate from 2004.
And I'm Catherine Everett. I graduated Baylor Theater in 2005. And we both knew Sally as an iconic professor in the Baylor Theater department, and an incredibly gifted designer who was just a real beacon of warmth for all of the Baylor Theater students.
One small testament story to Sally's care for her students is this right here, this sword. We use these swords in a production of Oresteia, directed by Stan Denman, and Sally spent extra time specifically customizing and working on this sword for me. She didn't have to do that, but she spent the extra time, and for me, looking at it and remembering that time is just a tangible reminder of the love and the commitment that Sally had to all of her students and their dreams and aspirations.
Yeah, she really was a master of her craft. And I remember in particular when I was playing Mephistopheles in Dr. Faustus, I had decided to do all these really weird things physically with my character. I was just up and down and all over the stage. And so it was a bit of a challenge to figure out how to costume me, and it had to have a bit of a classical look too, but it had to be, I still had to be able to do all my acrobatics and things, but Sally, she had no problem, and she created the most beautiful, structured, flexible, classic costume, and I don't know how much I realized it at the time, but she really was so truly gifted and a real master.
That's right. And I also want to say that Sally truly, truly loved her family. And I saw that firsthand at Baylor and beyond in the way specifically she loved and supported her nephew and my friend Rob during some tough years. Sally was there for him and supported him and so proud of him. And I know that she loved being an aunt.
And I think, you know, as we remember Sally's life, we're going to remember her as an educator and an artist and a friend and that incredibly loving family member. And we hope that you do too. And I know that her legacy will inspire us to love people with the same depth and warmth that defined her life.
Sally gave me my first job in college. The summer after my freshman year, she found me a work study position in the costume shop doing some archival project, and that allowed me to stay in Waco my first summer and do a play and move into my first apartment. And yeah, I never looked back. So yeah, I'd like to thank her for that. And a million other things that got me started.
I have a distinct memory of Sally. In my junior year at Baylor Theater, I was in the green room playing guitar, trying to show off, to humble brag about my musical skills. And Sally comes in and says, "Oh, that's a good looking guitar. Can I try it for a second?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I gave it to her. and she proceeded to absolutely shred on the guitar, surpassing me easily. And everyone else in the green room, including myself, was shocked. And she gave me back the guitar and said, "Yeah, I'm kind of a 70s chick," and walked out. And it was awesome.
Sally, a woman of loyalty. Sally Lynn, a woman of depth. Sally Lynn Askins, a woman of faith. I am Jim Rambo, and my wife and I, Teresa, met with Sally in her home in May 2023, discussing costumes for the upcoming Michael Long's production of Steak. What Teresa and I remember most were the discoveries she pulled from her own personal collection from years of professional work as a lifelong costumer and an international traveler. What she revealed with childlike glee was fabric, plate, braid, lace, and numerous completed costumes. We all oohed and awed as Sally and Justin Kaler revealed the Askins collection, with each of us touching and visualizing the color and texture of each piece. We experienced the beginning of an Askins aha. Sally and I knew each other for over 30 years, way before her arrival at Baylor. Already her womanhood of loyalty and adherence to the production vision being built was prominent in her days at Stephen F. Austin University, Dallas Theater Center, Texas Tech University, among others. Her warm and engaging interpersonal communication skills with each person she worked alongside, taught, mentored, and or costumed were immersed with her genuine loyalty. Her loyalty to the production was exceeded only by her devotion to designing and creating for people, human beings, creations of the Most High. Her attachments to each actor, actress were shown in one-on-one moments of making each person feel as if they were being set apart. Not only in costuming, but most definitely in her methods of calling out their sense of worth. The costume was decorated and complemented with decoration and ornamentation, but each person was adorned as valued. Sally's aha changed many lives. Sally Lynn's depth was shown by her wide range of research, both in reading, studying, traveling, but also experiencing life through her senses. She was in many ways a scientist, always asking questions to unearth creative alternatives in her artistry. At the same time, Sally encouraged everyone to have open minds and to understand each other's perspectives deeper. She was a visionary, seeing the big picture through the full investigation of the details. During rehearsals for Steak, Sally read my director's notes and complimented me on the clarity of what I was attempting to say. She went out of her way to read the actor's notes and demonstrated an openness to hear others. Her womanhood depth was never as a bragger, but as an open and inquisitive explorer. Sally Lynn Askins was also a woman of faith. Working along Sally and Michael Sullivan, we discovered a loving and kind disposition toward each of our differing experiences of spirituality. Those times were wonderful in every way. Yes, Sally enjoyed GabFest, but she always enjoyed and retained a listening ear when others spoke, and we all found warmth in those moments. Finally, Sally Lynn Askins remains an avid heavenly hippie, embracing her new life to the fullest, promoting peace, love, and happiness. Peace, dear friend.